Max Verstappen has been a solid supporter of his father Jos, especially when his team saw a dramatic dispute between the team principal Christian Horner and Jos Verstappen. This disagreement highlighted the tension between Horner's leadership and Jos's outspoken opinions on how the team should be run. Jos didn't hold back, calling out the management's inability to guide the team in the right direction. But as the future of Red Bull's lineup hangs in the balance, with Max himself making some revealing comments, the question arises, was Jos right about Horner all along? And could this dispute mark the beginning of a change in Max's future with Red Bull? This wasn't just an ordinary team issue. This became one of the most intense off-track battles in recent times. Both Jos and Christian pointed fingers at each other, accusing the other of creating unnecessary drama. This chaos didn't just affect team morale, but also led to some high-level personnel leaving Red Bull to join rival teams. Despite all this, Red Bull remains competitive, and Max believes his father's public statements may have woken up the team's leadership. Max Verstappen himself weighed in on the situation, dismissing the idea that his father's actions had destabilized the team. In fact, he called the notion nonsense, explaining that Jos had always been quick to spot the bigger picture. The internal turmoil at Red Bull had put the team's future at risk, and while some on the outside might not have understood the severity, Jos saw it clearly. Max reflected on the turbulent times and how they still managed to outpace the competition thanks to their fast car. Yet, despite the car's speed, it was a struggle to stay ahead when the team was battling internal issues. Since the Miami race earlier in the season, there were few instances where Max had the best car, but he still clinched the title. He was proud of how the team handled those difficult races and made the most of them. However, every race was clouded with drama due to the internal investigation against Horner. Christian was eventually cleared, gaining even more influence within the team, but this didn't sit well with Jos and others in the team. It seemed like the team was dividing into two factions, one side supporting Horner, and the other, led by Jos Verstappen and others, questioning his leadership. Horner has always been clear about his stance. No driver should be bigger than the team. But with Max's incredible performance over the years, that idea seemed to be challenged. Even though Verstappen's dominance in 2024 practically debunked Horner's belief, Red Bull still holds the contracts of their drivers, making sure they are in control. This has created a division between Horner, who represents the side of Red Bull that owns 51% of the team, and Jos Verstappen's camp, which has close ties to the Austrian side of the team. The situation came to a head when Horner wanted Marco out, and Jos made it clear that if that happened, Max would also leave. This revealed the level of loyalty Max had to his father's beliefs, and he was unapologetic about it. Reflecting on this, Max later stated that it wasn't just a bluff, it was a serious stance. He made it clear to the team that if things didn't change, his future with Red Bull could be in jeopardy. Unlike his son, Jos didn't shy away from calling out Red Bull's leadership publicly. Jos has been outspoken about the internal struggles and the way things were being managed. He warned that if the leadership didn't change, the team would eventually fall apart. This was evident with the departure of key figures who had been with Red Bull for decades, such as Neil Wheatley and Christian Horner's long-standing allies. Despite their departure, Horner seemed unconcerned, claiming that replacements were already lined up. However, it wasn't just about the leadership struggles at Red Bull, there were also serious concerns about the team's future performance. Horner claimed that Wheatley's departure would actually benefit the team by helping with the salary cap, as Wheatley was one of the highest-paid figures in the organization. But even with this change, Red Bull was stepping into uncertain territory. They had promoted a driver with only a handful of races under his belt to be Max Verstappen's teammate, which meant they were now up against strong teams like McLaren and Ferrari, who had two highly competitive drivers. Max himself even admitted that if things kept going this way, it would be impossible for Red Bull to secure the 2025 championship. He expressed that the development of other teams was far outpacing Red Bull's, and they would have a hard time catching up. Reflecting on this, Max said that the current situation was simple. They needed to make improvements to stay competitive. While he trusted the team to fix the balance issues from the previous season, there were still weaknesses in the car that needed to be addressed, especially in the slow corners and over curbs. Max's honest assessment of the team's future has left many wondering how Red Bull will handle the pressure. They can't rely on Max's talent to pull off miracles every time, especially with the fierce competition on the horizon. As the 2025 season approaches, all eyes are on Red Bull's ability to turn things around. Horner's philosophy has always been clear. Max Verstappen is the team's most valuable asset, and the expectation is for him to win races, regardless of who the other driver is. But this strategy may face its biggest test yet. With new regulations set to level the playing field, Red Bull will have to find a way to stay ahead. or risk falling behind their rivals. Horner himself acknowledged that Red Bull's approach may be different from other teams, where the focus is on building a team that is competitive across the board. At Red Bull, however, Max's success has been the cornerstone of their strategy, and while it's fantastic if another driver can get close to Max's performance, the real expectation is for him to keep winning. But the challenges ahead suggest that this may not be as easy as it has been in the past. With new regulations coming into play, Red Bull may have to rethink their approach. Max, for his part, remains confident in his abilities and his relationship with the team. But even he admits that everything could change if the team doesn't provide him with a car capable of winning races. He's been clear. The plan is to continue winning championships. But if Red Bull fails to give him the right tools, that could change quickly. As of now, everything seems fine, but Formula One is a fast-moving world, and things can shift in an instant. As Max Verstappen continues his dominance in Formula One, there's no denying the pressure that's mounting on Red Bull. With all the changes on the horizon and new regulations on the way, the team's ability to adapt will be put to the test. While Horner and the team may have a plan, the challenge now is ensuring that their car remains competitive, especially with rivals like Ferrari and McLaren closing in. Max's loyalty to Red Bull is evident, but he's not blind to the challenges ahead. He knows that if the team doesn't improve, they'll struggle to maintain their position at the top. This pressure is not just about the car's performance, but also the internal dynamics at Red Bull. The departure of key figures, including Wheatley, and the ongoing tensions with figures like Jos Verstappen and Dr. Helmut Marko, have added fuel to the fire. If the team can't get its internal house in order, it could jeopardize their future. Even with the team's historic success, Red Bull now faces a crossroads, whether to adapt and remain a powerhouse or risk falling behind as other teams catch up. The future of Max Verstappen, too, remains uncertain. While he's committed to the team for now, his statements about the need for improvement suggest that if Red Bull doesn't deliver, he could quickly seek a change. Verstappen is a champion, and he knows his worth. Red Bull's future depends on their ability to give him a car that can help him continue to win. Looking ahead, Max Verstappen's future with Red Bull is not as secure as it may seem. While he remains loyal to the team and has repeatedly expressed his satisfaction with their current setup, he is also realistic about the challenges ahead. The next few seasons will test Red Bull's ability to maintain their edge in an increasingly competitive field. With McLaren and Ferrari both strengthening their lineups, Red Bull cannot afford to stand still. The changes in regulations, combined with the growing pressure from rival teams, mean that Red Bull must evolve or risk losing their position at the top. Max himself has been open about his expectations. He knows that to continue winning, Red Bull must improve their car, especially in areas like handling through slower corners and over curbs. Despite the challenges, he believes that the team has the talent to solve these issues, but he's not willing to give Red Bull unlimited time. If the car doesn't improve, Max's commitment to the team could be tested. In Formula One, a champion like him has no room for complacency. Max's candidness about his future and his team's direction is a reflection of the high standards he sets for himself and for Red Bull. He's not afraid to speak his mind, and while he's optimistic about what's to come, he knows the road ahead will be anything but easy. The stakes are high, and Red Bull's ability to meet those challenges will determine not just the future of the team, but also the future of one of the greatest talents in Formula One history. As the 2025 season approaches, the pressure on Red Bull continues to grow. The team's ability to keep Max Verstappen at the top of his game hinges on their performance and adaptability in a rapidly changing environment. Max's talent is unquestionable, but even the best drivers need the right tools to succeed. With new regulations, Red Bull will be starting from scratch, and any weaknesses in their car design could have significant consequences. The internal struggles at Red Bull, particularly the ongoing tensions between Horner, Jos Verstappen, and Dr. Marko, also add another layer of complexity. It's clear that Red Bull's leadership will have to unite if they want to maintain their dominance in the sport. The recent departures of key personnel only highlight how fragile the team's foundation might be. Max has been vocal about the impact these changes have had on the team's dynamics, and his comments suggest that if things don't improve, the entire structure of Red Bull could be in danger. Despite all these challenges, Red Bull's future in Formula One will be defined by their ability to adapt. Max Verstappen's future with the team remains uncertain, but one thing is clear: he's not afraid to walk away if Red Bull doesn't deliver. The team's success in the coming years will depend on their ability to fix the issues that have been holding them back and remain competitive in a sport that's only becoming more unpredictable. Red Bull faces a pivotal moment in their Formula One journey. While Max Verstappen has been the backbone of their success, the coming years will test whether the team can continue to provide him with the right tools to maintain his dominance. As the competition grows fiercer, Red Bull must step up their game, not just in terms of car performance but also in team unity. The changes in regulations will undoubtedly impact every team, but Red Bull's ability to adapt will determine if they can keep their crown as the top team in F1. Max's comments about the future reflect the high stakes ahead. He knows that the bar has been set high, and he has no intention of settling for anything less than a competitive car. The team may have been able to rely on his talent in the past, but with teams like McLaren and Ferrari building stronger rosters, Red Bull can no longer afford to rest on their laurels. If the team's car doesn't improve, Max has made it clear he won't hesitate to explore other options. The future of Red Bull is intertwined with Max's decisions. If the team can meet the challenges ahead and provide him with the right car, they will continue to be the dominant force in Formula One. But if they fail to deliver, the consequences could be dire. Not just for the team's future, but also for Max Verstappen's. It's a make-or-break period for the team, and everything will come down to how they handle the pressure in the coming seasons. Looking ahead, the next few seasons will be crucial for Red Bull. With the new regulations coming into play and the rising competition from teams like McLaren and Ferrari, the team's ability to stay ahead will be tested. Max Verstappen's future with the team is still uncertain despite his current loyalty. He has been very clear about his expectations. If Red Bull doesn't improve their car, he won't hesitate to consider leaving. Formula One is a sport where speed and performance matter most, and Max knows that he needs the best to stay at the top. Red Bull's ability to keep Max happy and competitive is not just about the car, it's about making the right decisions as a team. The internal struggles, especially the ongoing issues between key team members, could have a long-term impact on the team's ability to function as a cohesive unit. As Max has pointed out, if these internal problems continue, it could lead to further instability. With key figures leaving and tensions within the team still simmering, Red Bull must find a way to unite their leadership and focus on what's best for the team as a whole. The clock is ticking, and the team can't afford to wait much longer. If Red Bull wants to remain at the top, they will need to make significant improvements, not just to their car, but to their overall structure. Max has already demonstrated that he can deliver championships when he has the right tools, but that's not something Red Bull can take for granted. If they don't meet his expectations, the team could face a future without their star driver, and that would be a game changer for everyone involved. As we look to the future of Red Bull and Formula One, one thing is clear. The next few seasons will be a defining moment for both the team and Max Verstappen. The competition is only getting tougher, with McLaren and Ferrari gearing up to challenge Red Bull's dominance. While Max has continued to deliver impressive results, it's becoming more evident that Red Bull's success is tied to their ability to keep up with the changing dynamics of the sport. The new regulations, the rise of rival teams, and internal issues at Red Bull make the upcoming seasons highly unpredictable. Max's commitment to Red Bull has been unwavering, but even he knows that loyalty has its limits. He's spoken about his future with the team, and the underlying message is clear. If Red Bull cannot provide him with a car that's capable of winning races, he'll explore other options. Verstappen is at the peak of his career, and in Formula One, a driver like him needs a car that can match his talent. The team has no choice but to step up and ensure that they deliver a competitive package or risk losing their top driver. The internal issues at Red Bull, from the ongoing tensions with figures like Jos Verstappen and Dr. Marco, to the departure of key personnel, have created an atmosphere of uncertainty. If Red Bull wants to keep moving forward, they'll need to address these problems and rebuild the unity that made them so successful in the first place. If they don't, it could affect their ability to attract the best talent and maintain their position as a leading force in Formula One. The pressure is mounting for Red Bull as they enter a critical phase of their Formula One journey. Max Verstappen has been the face of their success, but with each passing season the competition intensifies. Teams like McLaren and Ferrari are steadily improving, and Red Bull will need to ensure that their car remains one of the fastest on the grid. Max's dedication to the team is undeniable, but he has made it clear that if the car's performance doesn't meet his expectations, he won't hesitate to consider other options. Max is driven by a desire to win, and he knows that to stay at the top, he needs the best possible car. He has never shied away from voicing his concerns, and as the team faces new challenges, his patience will be tested. The fact that Red Bull's car development is starting from scratch with the new regulations adds another layer of pressure. If Red Bull can't get their car right, the team will be left scrambling to catch up with their rivals, and Max's future with the team could be in jeopardy. The situation at Red Bull isn't just about the car, though. The internal strife, particularly between key figures in the leadership, has raised questions about the team's stability. If Red Bull doesn't resolve these issues, it could lead to further departures and a lack of cohesion. Max has pointed out that the success of the team relies on more than just performance on the track. It's about creating a supportive and united environment. If the internal struggles continue, Red Bull could face serious challenges in maintaining their top position in the sport. With the future of Red Bull hanging in the balance, Max Verstappen's next moves will be crucial. The team's ability to provide a competitive car is more important than ever. Despite his impressive performances, Max is well aware that Formula One is evolving, and to stay ahead, Red Bull needs to evolve with it. The new regulations have reset the playing field, and every team will be looking to make their mark. If Red Bull doesn't meet the challenge, it could cost them not only victories, but also their star driver. Max's loyalty to Red Bull has always been a strong point, but loyalty in Formula One only goes so far. His comments about potentially leaving if the team fails to deliver should not be taken lightly. Max is driven by a relentless desire to win, and if Red Bull's future doesn't align with his goals, he won't hesitate to seek out a new opportunity. The pressure is on Red Bull to ensure they have a car capable of challenging for titles, or they risk losing their greatest asset. The internal challenges facing Red Bull cannot be ignored either. The departure of key personnel and the ongoing tensions between team leadership figures like Christian Horner and Jos Verstappen only add fuel to the fire. These internal rifts threaten to undermine the team's foundation and could result in further instability. Red Bull must find a way to resolve these conflicts and rebuild a unified front if they hope to maintain their status as the top team in Formula One. As Red Bull moves forward, they face an uphill battle in maintaining their dominance in Formula One. With the growing competition from teams like McLaren, Ferrari, and Mercedes, Red Bull will need to deliver a car that can consistently outperform its rivals. Max Verstappen's future with the team will depend on the progress they make. He has made it clear that if the team cannot provide a competitive package, he will look elsewhere. His loyalty may be strong, but it's not unlimited. Performance is what matters most in this sport. Max's talent is undeniable, but even the best drivers need the right tools to succeed. Red Bull's ability to develop a car that can keep up with the competition will be the key to retaining Max's services. If the car isn't fast enough, even Verstappen's brilliance won't be enough to secure championships. As the new regulations reshape the landscape, Red Bull will need to be at the forefront of innovation to stay ahead of the curve. On top of the performance issues, Red Bull must also address the internal dynamics that have been a source of tension. The rift between key figures like Christian Horner, Jos Verstappen, and Dr. Helmut Marko could have long-lasting effects on the team's cohesion. Red Bull must resolve these issues before they cause irreparable damage. A unified leadership is essential for continued success, and the team cannot afford to let these conflicts fester any longer. Red Bull's future is at a crossroads, with the performance of their car and the stability within the team both under intense scrutiny. For Max Verstappen, the team's success is tied directly to their ability to provide a competitive car. With teams like McLaren, Ferrari, and Mercedes continuing to improve, Red Bull cannot afford to become complacent. Verstappen's career is at a stage where winning consistently is the only priority. If Red Bull fails to deliver a car capable of fighting for championships, it could force him to reconsider his position. Max has been very open about his commitment to Red Bull, but even he understands the harsh realities of Formula One. Loyalty is important, but it's ultimately the performance on the track that will dictate his future. His success with the team has been remarkable, but the next few seasons will test the limits of what they can achieve together. If Red Bull's car cannot match the pace of their rivals, Max may start looking elsewhere, knowing that time is running out for him to secure more titles. At the same time, the internal dynamics of the team are just as crucial. The departure of key figures like Adrian Newey and Christian Horner's ongoing disputes with Jos Verstappen and Dr. Helmut Marko have created a toxic atmosphere within Red Bull. This internal instability could affect the team's ability to perform at the highest level. Red Bull must work to restore harmony within their ranks if they want to remain a championship winner team. As the clock ticks down to the start of the new season, Red Bull's ability to adapt will be put to the test. Max Verstappen's future with the team is uncertain, and while he has been clear about his commitments, the reality of Formula One means that nothing is guaranteed. The team must ensure they are on top of the game, both in terms of car performance and internal stability, or risk losing their most valuable asset. The upcoming changes to the regulations present both challenges and opportunities. If Red Bull can master the new requirements and maintain their technological edge, they can continue to be a force on the grid. However, with teams like Ferrari, McLaren, and Mercedes already preparing for the next phase of development, Red Bull cannot afford to fall behind. Max's expectations are high, and the pressure on the team to deliver a car that can secure wins and championships is immense. Equally concerning are the ongoing tensions within Red Bull's leadership. The disputes between Christian Horner, Jos Verstappen, and Dr. Marko have caused some instability, and it's clear that these issues are far from resolved. If Red Bull cannot find a way to unify their leadership, it could have serious consequences for their long-term success. The team needs to focus on finding solutions, both on the track and behind the scenes, to ensure that they remain a dominant force in the sport. Red Bull's future in Formula One hinges on their ability to not only develop a competitive car, but also to stabilize their internal dynamics. With the competition intensifying each year, Max Verstappen's expectations of the team are clear. If they can't provide him with the car he needs to win, he won't hesitate to look elsewhere. His loyalty to Red Bull is strong, but in the fast-paced world of Formula One, performance is what matters most. If the team doesn't deliver, Verstappen's future with them could be uncertain. The team's leadership issues are also a growing concern. Christian Horner, Jos Verstappen, and Dr. Helmut Marko have been at odds for some time, and these disputes have created a fractured environment within Red Bull. If these internal conflicts continue, they could undermine the team's ability to perform at the highest level. For Red Bull to stay ahead of their rivals, they need to put aside personal differences and focus on creating a cohesive unit. Without this unity, the team risks losing its competitive edge. With the new regulations coming into play, Red Bull will have to make significant strides in car development. The teams at the top of the sport are constantly evolving, and Red Bull must ensure they stay at the forefront of technological innovation. This will be especially critical in the coming seasons as they face off against teams like Ferrari, McLaren, and Mercedes, all of which are looking to close the gap and challenge for titles. If Red Bull doesn't adapt quickly enough, they could find themselves in a tough position, both on and off the track. As the season draws closer, the pressure is mounting on Red Bull to perform. The team's future, along with Max Verstappen's, depends on their ability to handle the growing competition and internal challenges. The new regulations, the team's car development, and the ongoing leadership conflicts will all play a pivotal role in determining whether Red Bull can maintain their dominance in Formula One. Max Verstappen has made it clear that his loyalty to the team is contingent on their ability to deliver the performance he needs to secure championships. While Red Bull has been his home, the evolving nature of Formula One means that his future with them could be at risk if they can't provide a competitive car. The upcoming seasons will be a critical test for the team, and they must rise to the occasion or face the reality of losing one of the sport's greatest talents. At the same time, Red Bull must resolve their internal issues. The ongoing rifts between key members of the team's leadership could prove to be their downfall. To succeed in this high-pressure environment, Red Bull needs unity. They must focus on teamwork, both on the track and behind the scenes, if they want to continue their legacy of success. The next chapter of Red Bull's journey in Formula One is uncertain. But one thing is clear: they have no room for error. The road ahead will be tough, and only time will tell if they can navigate these challenges and emerge as the team they've always been, one of the most dominant forces in the sport.